Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Um, January 29th, 2013, Canaanland Moors class. Today, we're gonna try to answer the question. Well, not try. We're gonna answer the question about 100 years later, why are you still Negro, black, colored, and whatever else our people decide to call themselves? Right. So what we're gonna start with is a brief that's gonna lead us into the two, because what we're gonna start doing now, because people like to get distracted from the profit, right? We're gonna be dealing with strictly profit now. No more of this outside sources of people who don't talk about the profit, right?
I was thinking that too.
There's too many sources out there that say that they are for the redemption of our people, but they don't mention Noble Drew Ali at all. That's a big problem.
Well, so you know what I was realizing, just to interrupt that, this is supposed to be a national and divine movement.
Exactly.
And what I realized is that most of, even some of our brothers and some brothers that I know, seem that they're focusing on the national part because it seems to benefit them in the ways that they need to be benefited right now. Remember, we're having this conversation. And really what I think, and this is why, you remember there was, I think we were watching one of the videos you were talking about, or I think it was the letter that you were reading that was supposed to be read in every meeting. That also is part of his prophecy that he understood.
Let me go to that. Since you brought that up, we'll hit that off. All right. Warning from the prophet. To be read in every meeting, January 15th, 1929. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or in the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. Right? So that was the first letter to be read every meeting. That since, let's say a few years into the 1930s, this letter stopped getting read. And it was just, it just turned into Noble Drew Ali literature. Stuff in the archives that, is only amongst, quote unquote, the adepts or the heads of the temples or whatever, right? So with Elihu Pleasant Bey, Taj Tariq Bey, Aleem, certain Moors that we would consider active Moors, a lot of so-called secret information got put up front. So now, because this information now is available to the public, now the people who are the leaders now have to start doing stuff parallel to what Moors who were just active were doing. So every time you see a Taj video, look for the video with the guy talking against Taj. That guy's an agent. Every time you see a Pleasant Bay video, to whatever, that guy's an agent. Every time you see a Lean Bay put out something, and then somebody put out and want to debate him or whatever, that guy's an agent. Because there's no freedom, salvation, redemption, whatever for our people unless they proclaim their nationality and get back to their right status. But that's the only way that we're getting out of what we say that we're in. We're in this struggle and we're in this whatever it is our people are involved in. To get out of it, nationality is what is going to free the people. And if we can't convince them that they need to proclaim their nationality, because there's nothing that is buy, sell, or nothing like that. Okay, just proclaim it. You don't have to do anything. Muhammad Ali did it. No, then he didn't have to go to war. It's just simple, just like that. He didn't go file any paperwork. He didn't go file any UCC or nothing like that. He just said, yo, my name's not Cash Clay. My name's Muhammad Ali.
They ended up jailing him, though, by the end of it. But, I mean, still, he didn't die, and better to be there.
Right. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But that, again, was a movement to stop him.
Right. To stop him. To stop him from doing what he's doing, and to stop his supporters.
That's right.
And his followers and people who look up to him.
That was the movement against him, right?
But this is the play. Even though he did go to jail, and he came out, he's still Muhammad Ali when he came out.
That's right.
He didn't go back to Cassius Clay when he came out. But they still don't want to follow the protocol of proclaiming their nationality. They still want to pretend like they're black, Negro colored, African, Canadian, African, Jamaican, whatever, playing the game, right? Now they're jumping in on the Indian train now, or they're Cherokee and they're Micmac and whatever, right? When the prophet came, he's not just a guy came to teach something, like prophet. That if you read what Noble Drew Ali said, and then you read past prophets, Buddha, Confucius, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever, it's the same thing. It's no different. Exact same lesson, just recalibrated for the time that they're needed for.
And sent in the image.
Of those that needs to be saved at that time.
Yeah.
Right? That's why Noble Drew Ali made the statement, every nation suffers slavery. Because you're only going to get a prophet if you're enslaved.
Yeah.
If you're not enslaved, there's no need for a prophet to come to do anything for you, because you're free, right? So he made the proclamations, and Moors with turbans and feathers said, no, we're not going to read this. We're going to put this in the back, and we're going to push that. He brought religion to people, right? And we'll have, the pews and the aisle, up front, the speakers and the choir, and they do all the pulpit and all that, right? We got verification that Canaanland Moor went down to New York, and that's exactly what he saw.
Sorry, say that one more time. Who did?
Canaanland Moor, Amoriel Bay, went to New York.
All right.
Went to a temple there.
Yeah, you're telling me. I heard that.
Right?
I saw that.
And when he went to the temple in there, they're singing hymns about Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, and like, what are you talking about? You never brought that, right? And mind you, the place is full.
Of course.
There's not no 5 people like we got in class up here, right? And then that's why Noble Drew Ali made the statement that most of my people are still in the church. Some of my good Moors are still in the church. Because church is a mindset, not a building that you go to. Church is a mentality, a European mentality on top of that.
And that's what they speak about, picking up their idol.
Right, picking up their idol gods. It's not picking up their, thing that they had to pray to. It's picking up their mentality, picking up their concept. That's the idol gods.
Yeah.
The idol gods aren't fixated.
Well, the God is within.
Right. And the only way the God's going to be in is when we're connected to the mind.
So if you're worshiping something outside of your mind, you ain't connected.
You're obviously not connected, or you wouldn't be focusing outside like that, right? And again, that's even one of the messages of all the prophets. That's the prophet's theme. Ye are gods. Why are you guys chasing me down the street when you're going to be more powerful than I am right now, and you're chasing me down the street? Right? And this is the message we have to go out there, get to the people, because we were talking to this about the Moors too. That how another way that dirty Moors is that they're Moors and those people aren't Moors that look like them. We're all Moors.
Yeah.
Even if we have hats backwards and saggy pants, they're still Moors. Right? Even if they don't believe in God and they're atheists, they're Moors still. Right? And that's what they have to know. That's why we're dealing with the class. 100 years later, you still calling yourself crayons? You still calling yourself continents? When Noble Drew Ali came and said, go back to the state of mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. But we don't want to listen to him because we think, he's just a guy that just came to, wear this hat with strings on it and that's it. And I don't want to follow that because, I'm not into groups, you know what I mean? Because I do my studies, I'm a metaphysician. But you're sitting here in a body talking to me. What do you mean you're a metaphysician? You have a body right now. 5 senses and all that. You have to eat food and all that stuff. Now you're telling me about you're from some other planet? When I'm looking at you right now in the earth plane, if you're in another planet, then go back there then and stop the suffering.
Yeah.
Right? But the only way you're going back there is without this body. So in order to play all those games about you're so metaphysical and you're whatever, you better not have any attachment to this earth plane, because body can't go with you when you go outside of this existence. Body's not going. Right? And Noble Drew Ali laid it down, just like you're saying. It's a divine movement and it's a national movement. There's 2 pillars of this.
What you realize is the national movement would, in a sense, be the lower triangle, in my mind.
Depends on the frequency. Yeah, right.
Because the national is the body.
Right.
The divine is the spirit.
Right. But what did he say? That this is your movement, your temple. So just like your dreams, you interpret what it is.
Yeah.
Then go to somebody else and let them interpret what you got, what Noble Drew Ali brought to you.
Yeah.
How about you read it and get an interpretation for yourself? Because that's really what it's about. Yeah. Knowing thyself, not knowing this guy, that guy, this person, that more. Know yourself, and then automatically you're going to know others, like automatically.
Yeah.
That's why everybody else could come to the North Gate, right over there. You're opening a dollar store. Right over there right now. A dollar store just closed down. A dollar store just closed down right in that plaza right there.
Same one right over there.
Yeah, right over there. And now they're opening another dollar store.
Wow.
With a different name. Right? And then they're going to fill it up with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They don't even speak English. Nobody in there speaks English. Yeah. You go ask them, which aisle is the whatever in? And they look at you like, like I'm from a different country. Right. Right? Right? But then when you look around, it's only their people up in there shopping, talking their own language.
Yeah.
Right? And we are wondering, we're trying to get people to bring their dues in so we can keep the temple open. But these people out here are up in 7-Eleven, up in convenience store, whatever it is that you call it, right? Making progress. And we're here talking about, we need black school and we need, we need Black History Month to be longer, right? Change the month and stupidness. When nationality is ordered today, everybody knows that. And everybody that comes here is standing on national principles in an occupied jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Right? Because they don't play around with we're brown people and we're yellow people in Canada. Right? Nowhere. We're the only people that play that game. Even here, you even because we don't like people get mad, right? When I talk, because I don't get down with the Negro, black, colored, white game. That's a game. I don't play that. As soon as you start coming on that, like we're not friends anymore. We're enemies now. Because you're basically trying to denationalize me to get me to agree in a conversation with you, calling myself black, which I know is a slave tag. Which I know as soon as they put that on you, it's a divine and national movement. And everything Noble Drew Ali said is spirit. So more is better heeded.
Yeah.
Everything that Noble Drew Ali said is spirit. So if you're not Negro, black, colored, and the Prophet said that, and then you're going to go against that and say, well, forget what he said. I'm black. When you could look in the mirror and see that you're brown. Judgment's going to get you. Like all these people, everybody's getting judgment. They're not going to talk about it because nobody wants to put their stuff out there. But guarantee, all those people debate Aleem and want to put out videos and bash Moors and stupidness like that. They're not doing nothing to the Moors. Now. That's the Prophet that they're dissing. Yeah. That's their own birthright that they're dissing. They think they're doing something to some group of people that have this building called Moorish Science Temple of America. So if we bash those guys, then we're harming them. You're not doing anything to active Moors.
It's in a sense like that thing that happened at the opening of the Kupiani thing, when he was talking about everything that you do on the outside is really a reflection.
Right, it's a reflection
of your inside.
Right.
So you're not doing anything to us.
Right. No. And we have to beat this dead horse because people are really trying to ride the dead horse.
Yeah.
Meaning, why are you trying to ride the dead horse? You're really gonna put your children in the position, knowing that, you know, the black fountain and the white door and you can't go through that door and you have to go through that door. You're gonna subjugate them to that still by letting them adopt that personage, knowing that it's a fraud, and people get lynched for that. People get lynched for that. There's pictures that they show people chained to a tree, rope around their neck, burning or whatever, because they said they were black people. Because remember, at that same time, there were people who they called black inventors, and they didn't get lynched. Why? How come? How come the black inventors didn't get lynched? How come nobody wants to talk about that? Right? Black History Month's going to come, and everybody's going to show pictures of, we invented this, and we invented that, and we invented that. And then at the same time, they're going to show you a picture of a guy hanging. Yeah. And say that that's your culture.
Crazy. Like, when you think about it, but that's where I think that it's really destructive, because it's the confusion behind those things, right?
And why is there confusion? Because Noble Drew Ali is the first patriarch of the Moorish nation in few thousand years to come and stand up for the fact that these people aren't Negro, black, colored people. Yeah. And he said it out of his mouth, put it in all his literature. These people aren't Negro, black, colored people. And what do we have today? We have black entertainment TV today. We have black hair care product people. We have black whatever. When everybody knows that that's a fraud, except us, and we don't want to accept that reality, okay, so fine, cool. If you want to be black, then you stay black, die black, whatever. Because this European, when the shit hits the fan, and this system really falls, because right now they have some twigs holding up this is the system right now. Everybody thinks they're secure because they have pension plan or whatever at their work. So yeah, I worked 50 years, so yeah, I got some stacks right there. When I retire, I'm gonna go, Cancun and put my feet up, whatever. Yeah, not if that's worth nothing. Exactly. Not if they zero the books tomorrow. And all that so-called debt that you've been saving becomes real debt now.
Yeah.
It really becomes worthless.
Yeah.
Right? And what Noble Drew Ali say, you're going to be sitting there, you're going to be biting your own flesh because you have nothing to eat. You're going to be going to the store to buy food, and there's going to be soldiers there with guns with bayonets on them in front of the supermarket. Like, those times aren't far from here, huh? Some places are experiencing that right now. Why? Because they gave up on their republic and they assumed that democracy is a republic. And then they ran behind the democracy. And now they're getting their ass kicked and getting their land stolen, and they're mad. And some places, you know, places that have principles in nationality and birthrights, yeah, they're fighting back. They're not picketing, marching, protesting or nothing like that. Like, they're fighting back. They're beating up officers, so-called officers, policy enforcers, democratic UN troops and stuff, getting their ass kicked by some people with sticks and pitchforks and shovels and stuff like that. And I no guns or nothing like that. It's all on CNN. You go watch. You know what I mean? There's not no gun battle out there. All the guys with the M16s and the tanks, those guys are waving white flags across the world, huh? Don't think they show you a picture of, you know, a U.S. soldier getting head from Afghani lady, and, you know, they strip this guy naked, and that they're doing that to the country. They're not doing. You think these people are going to be playing dumb nigger like niggers play nigger? You see, these people in the world are gonna abandon their foremothers and forefathers, to call themselves something that they know that they're not that.
I think what's interesting is in that King Alfred plan, you realize that once you connect yourself to the land, the very land is what supports you.
It's real simple.
So that's why you see places like in Vietnam and Afghanistan, no matter how long they were there for, they still have to leave.
They have to leave.
Because at the end of the day, it's not their place.
They're going to make an announcement that, you know, we've been over there for the last 4 years, so we're going to bring the troops home now. And everybody, yeah, bring the troops home because you lost.
That's right.
That's why you bring the troops home.
Right.
Because you're not going over there and playing those, you know, I'm the bully, I'm going to beat up everybody around here.
And that's what's interesting, too. It doesn't matter what you have, as long as the people are organized, they can't lose.
So Noble Drew Ali brought, proclaim your nationality, because nationality is what unites you.
That's right.
Go ask Sri Lankan what flag they are. They're going to show you a flag. Ask them their religion. One's going to say Christian, one's going to say Muslim, one's going to say Buddhist, one's going to say atheist, one's going to say whatever. When you ask them, what flag you with? All of them are going to hold up the same flag.
That's right. Regardless
of what denomination they belong to. Whether it's fraud or whether it's fake religion or whatever, we're not even
dealing with that.
Right? Point is that they know nationality supersedes some religion, some God coming to save them. Right. Their nationality is their God, their creator. When you look at the worldview, right? And this is what Noble Drew Ali was bringing. This is why he warning from the prophet. Told you there's going to be sellouts coming out here trying to, right? And then he didn't do one, he did 2 letters.
Yeah.
That he said in the letter, this is supposed to be read every meeting. Yeah. And then, nope, they don't want to read that. The Grand Sheik wants to go up there, flap, parrot the prophet a little bit. And then this next guy's going to go up there, flap. They're going to sing some hymns or whatever, right? Make the people nice and passive and docile, right? No different than the other sheep that are out here. You know why? Because King Alfred Plan agents. Organizations infiltrated by FBI, counterintelligence, and all that stuff. Moor Science Temple's on the list. But they couldn't put that in the King Alfred Plan because then you're going to know that there's a thing called Moor Science Temple of America at the same time as all these Pan-African and whatever groups that are in King Alfred Plan that got infiltrated and that are pushing everything except Moorish perspective. Think about all these groups that are out here. They talk about everything. They talk about every subject matter. When it comes to the Moors, there's like Brother Jelani says, there's a brick wall in the sand between what their teachings are and the Moorish
really
perspective.
Is once you bring that up, everyone knows about them.
Yeah,
everyone knows about them, but no one is talking about them.
That's a problem.
And I think it's also like or like we know, it's part of the plan, because once you start talking, all that information has to come out.
Right. No, and this is why right before they killed Khalid, he proclaimed, it's on YouTube. Every new Black Panther Party member should proclaim their nationality if they honor Khalid Muhammad. They say he's the general, right? His birthday, they're gonna go celebrate, honor his life and all that stuff. Go to his grave, light incense and whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he proclaimed his nationality. He said that he's a Moor, and he's got sense enough to know that he's a Moor, and nobody can't tell him that he's not a Moor. But they're not gonna go proclaim their nationality. Right? They're not going to do it. No. You know they're not going to do it, or they would have did it already. Right? So that lets you know the grip that these so-called leaders, Black leaders, African leaders, Pan-African leaders, Negro leaders, whatever they call themselves, right? That shows you the grip what they teach has on people's consciousness. Think about that. Because it's undisputable what Noble Drew Ali brought. It's undisputable. Nobody can dispute the facts about Noble Drew Ali. They can talk crap. Oh yeah, you know, he plagiarized the Aquarian gospel and stupid stuff. Right? They can show pictures of Turks and all that, and oh yeah, you know, these guys are following Turks or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, but they're not going to talk about Osman I. Right? Who was the Moor that founded the Ottoman Empire. And it's in the documentation that he's a Moor. It's not a secret. Turks know that the Moors are the ones that founded the Turkish Empire that they're repping right now. Fronting like they're really the empire. No different than the Europeans over here saying that they're the U.S. when the U.S.A Republic is the real government. Right. And these guys are running a fraud. But the people don't want to accept the fact that Noble Drew Ali came and gave you all the answers. Right? And he gave the questions, and he told you to read stuff every meeting that certain people chose not to read. That tells you that they're in conflict with what he brought. Mm-hmm. That lets you know that not everybody in a turban and fez is in your best interest. That's right. If you go to a Moor Science Temple of America, you knock the door and you ask for something and they don't give it to you, and you're an outsider, watch that spot right there. Be very mindful of who you talk to coming in and out of those doors right there. Right? Every meeting, how these supposed to get read. Islam, I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all. That's the first line. Yeah. What's he saying? Yeah. What's the point that he's making? That there's many dirty Moors. If there's few faithful Moors,
I have a few faithful
Moors
among you.
Among you all. Among you all, I have a few faithful ones. So he's not only talking to the faithful ones. The sellouts are there too listening.
That's right.
The agents are there too listening. Right? I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. So he doesn't only want to know the truth,
which is nationality,
right, but he wants them to know the divine truth. Right? So what's he saying? That everything has this national and divine aspect to it. Yeah. Truth has that.
So it has the spirit.
Has the right. A movement has a national side and a divine side. Man has a national side and a divine side.
Or
religion has a national side and a divine side. Right?
Basically, it's the yin and yang of everything. That's what he's saying.
Right? And we didn't even go into any literature or nothing like that, and we figured out. So that means that it's not hard to get. Like, everybody's supposed to get this. Why is it hard? Because people stray away from what he brought, and they go into other stuff. And once you get into other stuff, that's going to send you whirlpooling off into some other direction that has nothing to do with you.
So that's why I sense with his first letter, when he talks about that stuff with the agitating part.
Right.
I sense that part of that is because, see, what will happen is you're going to be mad about this.
Right.
So your idea is you want to fight this man.
Right, right.
So the reality behind it is he's saying, don't even worry about them.
Yeah.
Just focus on your
right.
your stuff.
Right.
Don't go to fight them, because that's the whirlpool. That's where, as you say, you're out there fighting every move that you're making.
Right.
That's what you said to me about just carry yourself properly.
Yeah.
You then won't even have to interact with these Europeans, because that's what they want.
They want interaction.
They want you stepping into their ring.
Right.
When the reality behind it is you should just be walking on your God-given path.
Right. And they're in your ring already.
Well, that's right. That's
paying off the referee and all that stuff in your ring.
That's right.
When the referee and him are down in your ring, creating a ring, and getting you jump in that ring in your own ring.
That's right. Getting you mad about their stuff.
And then you're mad. Yeah. You know?
That's now, it's really come home to me about what he's talking about with the agitating speeches. Because I think we were talking about this stuff too, about at the last meeting too, about how thought followed, what was it? Thought following energy, and energy following thought. So that if in reality you are following the energy of a fight, or if that's where your thoughts are, then your energy is not going the place that it's supposed to go.
Exactly.
Right? And I was reading this other literature that says, even if let's say you're saying to yourself, I don't want to go to that neighborhood, the fact that you're even saying that means you're thinking about that.
Right. Right.
So that, in a sense, is bringing your energy there, even if you don't want to be there, and you'll end up there because you're thinking about there.
Right. And then what's going to happen too is that when you go there, right, something bad's going to happen to you.
That's right.
Because your energy is that I don't, or I can't.
That's right.
Or I, you know what I mean? Right? I don't.
Right.
But the reality of it, right?
Your energy creates it.
Your energy creates it.
That's right.
So if your energy creates it, then it's important that we go back to the state of mind of our ancient foremothers and forefathers.
And that's what he talks about, it basically being, that way you won't have anything.
Peace, family.
You won't have anything. You won't have any problems because you will be dealing with your stuff.
Right.
Right? So,
there is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years.
Sorry, no. Is there a copy that I can get?
On this, no, not this right here. You can get a copy.
Mind if I record the audio?
Yeah, man. You can record that. That's good. Right? Okay. But if you want this, if you go to Seven Seals Publications, sevensealspublications.com.
7 spelled out or the letter?
Yes, 7 spelled out.
7 seals?
Yeah, publications.com. And the book is called Noble Drew Ali, The Last Prophet. Moorish literature. His prophets, his prophecies, and hadith. Alright. So like we were saying, we're gonna be dealing with Noble Drew Ali from now, and people who support him and push what he taught, right? So we can understand that this is not a Moors thing, right? This is not a thing that is just stuck in the temple. Like, this is a worldwide movement that everybody knows about, that everybody support him except the people who Noble Drew Ali came for. They don't rep him. They're gonna rep all this black, Negro, colored crap, thinking that their salvation's in that because, you know, somebody came to them in a nice suit, or, you know what I mean, in a nice dashiki, and told them that, yeah, this is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So it really, most men that have a message, their own people usually reject it.
Usually reject it. Yeah. And then that's also the pattern of the prophets.
Exactly.
When you check the pattern of all the prophets, all of them got stoned to death by their own people. Like, all of them. Right?
Except for my like Noah, but even his people dissed him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then end up drunk.
Yeah, everybody got this by their own. And then when judgment comes, now they're crying for, oh my gosh, why do you leave us, and whatever. What do you mean? You sold them out. He didn't leave you. Sold them out. Right? So the other reference that we're using today is a European by the name of Peter Moon that put out this book right here, the Montauk Book of the Dead. Right? So before we go to him, we just want to put something on the record. Library of Congress was established by an act of Congress in the 1800s when President John Adams signed a bill providing for the transfer of the seat of government from Philadelphia to the new capital city of Washington. Right? So that's keys right there. Mm-hmm. This is Wikipedia. Right? This is Wikipedia telling you that the capital of the government wasn't always in Washington, D.C. It was one time in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. The legislation described a reference library for Congress only, containing such books as may be necessary for the use of Congress and for putting up a suitable apartment for containing them therein. Established with $5,000 appropriated by legislation, the original library was housed in the new Capitol until August 1814, when invading troops set fire to the Capitol building, burning and pillaging the contents of the small library. Burning and pillaging libraries, mm-hmm. You know, it sounds familiar, mm-hmm. Familiar theme, mm-hmm. Right? They were talking about Timbuktu the other day, maybe a day ago in the news, mm-hmm. About manuscripts and stuff like that being destroyed and all this type of stuff, mm-hmm. Right? So it's a pattern, democracy pattern. Destroy the libraries. Within a month, retired President Thomas Jefferson offered his personal library as a replacement. Jefferson has spent 50 years accumulating books, putting up everything which related to America, right? Everything related to America. Mm-hmm. And indeed, whatever was rare and valuable in every science. So this is Thomas Jefferson now. Right? There's another, they're just putting it out there, yeah. You know, that he had the library. Like, this guy had the library, and he donated his stuff so they can build the library back, right? And the stuff he had in his library was things related to America, and whatever was rare and valuable in every science. So in every science, he had rare, valuable manuscripts in his personal library, right? His library was considered to be one of the finest in the United States. In offering his collection to Congress, Jefferson anticipated controversy over the nature of his collection, which included books in foreign languages and volumes of philosophy. science, literature, and other topics not normally viewed as part of a legislative library.
So it's right there.
So the whole paradigm was changing. Why? Because they had to take over from Library of Alexandria and all these different libraries that they now have everything. Also, too, remember that they're Europeans. The European sects are all in competition with each other over the historical records. Right? That's why Rome, the Pope and them, they have their own stuff that nobody's not going to tell them, or we can give us some trade or whatever. That's their stuff. They stole that. So you don't have any claim on that. Then Germans, they have some stuff. The French have some stuff. And then there's Library of Congress that houses pretty much everything else, but more relative to over here.
Or it might be somewhat connected to Britain or something.
Because, well,
or
really it's to house the information for over here. The history of this land. Because everywhere else that's over there. They're supposed to have that stuff over there.
Yeah, but my sense is that the stuff that he has here backs up their claim to their stuff, in a sense, right? It's not giving our history, is it?
Which is really our stuff.
It's to legitimize them, right?
That's what I was thinking, right?
If the truth comes out, it legitimizes the real people, so they have to erase it and claim it for themselves. A lot of Romans did with a lot of Jewish tradition.
Right.
Like most Jews today aren't even
Israelites.
Right, just like with Spence and them, a lot of these people who are Indians aren't really Indians. They're European stock of Indians. If your name's Spence, obviously, you're European. You can't be indigenous.
Portuguese in India. Names like Pablo and stuff like that.
He wrote, "I do not know that it contains any branch of science which Congress would wish to exclude from their collection. There is in fact no subject to which a member of Congress may not have occasion to refer." In January 1815, Congress accepted Jefferson's offer appropriating $23,000 for his 6,487 books, and the foundation was laid for the great National Library. The Jeffersonian concept of universality, the belief that all subjects are important to the library of the American legislature, not the U.S. legislature, the American legislature, is the philosophy and rationale behind the comprehensive collection policies of today's Library of Congress. Right? So Library of Congress right now is the biggest library on the planet. Right? There's no library bigger than that library. Right? So we go to Montauk Book of the Dead. Right? I'm going to just hold this up so we can. Cover by Jill Bauman. The Grim Reaper, as the personification of death, points to the five-pointed star of change as he employs the sign of eternal resurrection by making a square, thus representing man's ability to raise himself 90 degrees. If you would like to purchase a print of the art issued on this cover, please visit Jill Bauman, JILLBAUMAN.com, and contact the artist directly. So, we already know Peter Moon, Montauk Book of the Dead, right? Copyright 2005 by Peter Moon. First printing March 2005. Published by Sky Books, Westbury, New York. Library of Congress catalog in publication data. Peter Moon, The Montauk Book of the Dead by Peter Moon, 456 pages, ISBN 9780967816234. 1. Biography and autobiography. 2. Religion. 3. Moors. Library of Congress control number. You might want to write this down so you can go check for yourself and then so we could right. 200-592-1593.
That's Library of Congress control number?
Yeah.
Is what?
Library of Congress control number.
Is what?
200-592-1593.
So you're saying this book is in the Library of Congress?
Right. That's not something you can go buy at
oh yeah, you could also just buy it at any bookstore.
Really? It's like in regular print.
Right.
See.
Right.
What's the title of it again?
Yeah.
The Book of the
Montauk.
Dead, right?
The Montauk Book of the Dead.
How do you spell Montauk?
Montauk.
Okay. Book of the Dead.
Book of the Dead.
Okay.
And we're gonna read an excerpt from the chapter called Chapter 56, The Moors Gate. So don't forget this is filed. Don't forget this is a European. So let's pay attention to what he says, because Drew Ali said that he's gonna make Europeans tell the truth.
Okay.
Right? Since writing the Seventh Seal, so that's another one of his books you might want to write down, the Seventh Seal. Since writing the Seventh Seal, I had been searching. Seventh.
Seventh Seal?
Yeah, Seventh Seal. Since writing the Seventh Seal, I had been searching for an answer to find out why the entrance to Old Jerusalem near the Wailing Wall is known as the Moors Gate. No one was able to give me a satisfactory answer. I also tried the web, but when you are searching for obscure subjects, the internet is sometimes a very difficult tool. You have to try different word combinations and related subjects when you are not getting an answer. Just plugging in the word is not enough. By doing a meta search for different words or names in the various articles I found, I came across a somewhat obscure but very interesting piece of research concerning the Moors and the Holy Land. It turns out that one of the most hotly disputed territories in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, as far as existing legal documents go, belongs to neither party. According to this research, it belongs to the Moors. After the advent of the Prophet of Islam, countless Moors from Morocco made pilgrimages to Mecca, but virtually all of them accomplished this by first traveling through Jerusalem. This was only their third holiest city, but had housed all of the great prophets of the line of Abraham. It was also known as the premier center of learning in the Middle East. Scholars and students came from all over, but most of them were predominantly Moors from Morocco. By the time of the Crusades, the Moors were part and parcel of the territory around the Dome of the Rock. And we have to bring this up again. If it's talking about after the advent of Prophet of Islam, these Moors were in Jerusalem or whatever. When they mention Morocco, get North Africa out of your mind, because that didn't come about till 1956. So if you hear Morocco mentioned before 1956, they're not talking about North Africa. That just put that out there, so people could get concepts right in their mind, so they know what jurisdiction is being talked about when certain things are said. By the time of the Crusades, so that's our timeline again, because Crusades is history everybody knows about, right? The Moors were part and parcel of the territory around the Dome of the Rock. If you consider the Sufi influences of that time period, coupled with that of the Assassins and Hassan Sabah, Hassan Sabbah, you will be wise to recognize that the Moors were very much a part of the underground network and mysteries of Solomon's temple.
Anybody with name Sabah in Arabic, that means dark. And Sabah is a well-known name group in Arabia.
Right.
You know what I mean? Of people who are African or, you know what I mean?
Dark skin, yeah. Right.
And the other thing about the Moors around the temple My fiance, she lived in Palestine for about 5 years. She went to school there. And all this is true because there is even to this day sector. It's called the African quadrant or something like that. You know what I mean? Like part of Palestine was that district. Yeah. You know what I mean? But Jerusalem is divided into different districts. You know what I mean? And one of them 4 major ones is the African district. You know what I mean?
Right.
That goes by a long time.
In fact, hold on a sec. So the Moors are very part of the underground network and mysteries of Solomon's Temple. In fact, the rise of Hugh de Paynes, the founder of the Knights Templar, has been indelibly etched in a circuitous way upon the legacy of the Moors, but we will touch on that a bit later. One of the documents with regard to Moorish occupation of the area near the Moors Gate is from Ben Jubeir, Jubeir, a Muslim traveler during the Crusades, who reported that many Moors had volunteered to serve in the army of Noureddin Zenki. Noureddin, Noureddin, last name Zenky. As the latter fell ill, he was impressed by the fact that the Moors had fought very well. As a result, Zenki volunteered that if he were to regain his health, he would see that any captured Moors would be freed. When Saladin defeated the Crusaders, Zenki made good on his promise and offered any Moors safe passage back to Morocco. Right? Remember, we're not talking about North Africa. Instead, the Moors decided to stay in Jerusalem. It was a great place of learning and needed to be defended if necessary. Consequently, Saladin's successor designated the area of Al-Baka of the Moors and set up a school for them, or in conjunction with them. The claim to Moorish ownership was corroborated in 1320 when a Muslim scholar named Abu Madin, Madein, his name is actually much longer, but those are his first 2 names, indicated 2 places which were willed to the Moors in perpetuity, one of them being near the Moors Gate. The document delineates specific details about how the Moors would elect an estate attendant who would manage the monies collected by those of the property. It indicated that there were considerable fertile regions as well as storage facilities and other income-producing characteristics of the property in Islamic tradition and in pre-Islamic tradition, such as an arrangement as denoted as the Waqf. This designation means that the property is in the custody of a manager who dictates the income towards a benevolent civic or religious function. The monies produced are to be used for erecting and caring for a mosque or similar shrine in pre-Islamic days. There is a tradition amongst the Moors, and a very solid one, that the word Islam, as well as the movement, predated the advent of Muhammad, who was received as a prophet of Islam. Islam is commonly and not incorrectly defined as meaning peace, particularly as it is phonetically related to the Hebrew word shalom, but Islam has long been defined as meaning surrender or yielding, both signifying a feminine attribute. This is what he's dropping. European. Right? And you talk to some Moors out there and you're not even getting close to this.
If I can add to that,
right?
Islam is a yielding or submitting, means to submit.
Yeah.
Therefore, someone who's a Muslim means one who submits.
Right.
So you see how the name of one who follows it ties into what he's following.
What he's following, right.
Islam to submit, Muslim one who submits.
Right.
To the will of God.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It comes from the root Islah. Islah also means to change for the good, to correct. You know what I mean?
Right. And all that is directly more science, Arabic level, and then more science Latin level, and then more science, and then all these languages Hebrew level, whatever, and then all these languages are intertwined at the same time. There's not no this one and then this one came and then this one came. All of them are going on at the same time.
Sort of levels of awareness in a sense.
Yeah, degrees of the tassel, right? The degrees, depending on the frequency that you're on, would you already know.
You will identify.
Yeah, you'll identify, and you'll be able to relate.
Yeah, it's like you progress with the progression of mankind, right? It's like if a prophet came in the time of Noah and with rules like, when the lights green go, when the lights red stop, you're like, what are you dealing with?
Right.
There's no such thing as man hasn't progressed to that level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the enlightenment comes in degrees of the mankind progression.
Of their understanding.
Exactly.
Right.
You don't expect your 2-year-old kid to have dinner ready for you when you're going from work, right? You so you're not going to judge him on that.
Right.
But you hope he didn't, miss the party at least.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Straight. Right. So now we're going to read an excerpt now from chapter 58, the Ali Shuffle. Any visible threads of the original Moorish Empire had been virtually extinguished or gone underground by the time Noble Drew Ali, then known as Timothy Drew, was born into this world. His fabled initiation in Egypt occurred just about the time of L. Ron Hubbard was born. Until I actually composed this book, I would not have been predisposed to connect the character of Noble Drew Ali with either L. Ron Hubbard or the research he conducted on the subject of freedom and oppression. In view of my own experiences with relation to this book, however, the quantum juxtaposition of these two characters stands out like fireworks. Hubbard's work was primarily about imprisonment and freedom of the spirit. Although Ali and Hubbard might not appear connected at first glance, there is quite a rhyme and rhythm between the two. On the surface, Ali's work might be misinterpreted to appeal primarily to a displaced people and cultural heritage. As my friend Hamza Bey has taught me, the more you learn about the etymology of the word Moor, the more you realize that it is a spiritual identity and ultimately has very little to do with racial or cultural identity. The original Moors had no distinction along racial lines. This was actually an invented distinction to sow seeds of discord among people and to facilitate the disruption of what might be termed your own infinite spiritual potential. So the word more and extracting that word, replacing it with other stuff, actually stunts your spiritual growth.
Power of speech. Right?
Power.
Which is spells in a sense, right?
Sorry, cut in
Big
there.
time.
But you said that Drew Ali was initiated in Egypt. Initiated into what? Freemasonry, the Moorish temple. What was it that he was initiated into?
His initiated might not be the correct term, because just like all the other prophets, you're going to go study in all the different halls of learning. You're not going to be secluded to just this one perspective. So
it's not like a formal,
not like bringing him into something. Not bringing him into now, because the term initiated is used, right? That's the perspective people would have, right, without even questioning, what initiated into what? What do you mean he was initiated into Egypt?
That's the value.
You know what I mean? Right. You know what I'm saying? That's why we push the whole, ask questions so you get your answer, right?
Yeah,
so right. So in we can't. It's not gonna go into full detail, but this is how the rundown goes. In the Moorish movement, there's a charter, right? And then the charter has Noble Drew Ali in it, and then there's pictures around the outside of the charter, right? And the pictures are the camel, the pyramid, the fez, the handshake, the eye of Allah, the crescent moon and star, the circle 7, the lion and the lamb, and the sphinx, right? And then it goes around. And then the story behind the pictures is, so every picture, picture is 10,000 words. So every picture tells a story, right? So the story goes, the noble Drew Ali traveled into Egypt, receiving our authority, agreeing to unify all to Allah by teaching Islam and more science to the rich and the poor, returning them to the state of their ancient forefathers. Right? So, well, even if we look at it from the perspective of he was initiated into something, right? What he was initiated into was something that was founded by ancient foremothers and forefathers. So, it's not.
He was enlightened into new knowledge.
Into the knowledge.
I was going to say before.
Right.
You were saying about the phonetics of the word Noor.
Yeah.
In Arabic, the word for light is Noor.
Right.
And the difference between the M and the N is only one extra hump.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have a camel with one and you have a camel with two. Both of them is camels.
It's camels, regardless.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So Moor is very phonetically related to Noor, which is light, lightning, lighting. You know what I mean?
There's a lot into that. Right. The de-oppression work done by LRH was the first time he ever initiated techniques that literally began to reach out and restructure the environment on a wholesale basis. It began with the Sea Org itself and then the Scientology community. But it was spreading with the wild abandon. It was spreading with the wild abandon of a forest fire before the fire department came to put it out. As I said, the seeds of this de-oppression technology were said to be based upon the most fundamental purpose of life itself. We are talking about a principle that can literally raise the dead. If this is the same stuff, we can rearrange matter and change the entire universe. Of course, in de-oppression, we are primarily talking about reviving the corpse of a group of people and taking the yoke off their operation. This is, however, a closely related cousin of the fundamental ability to raise the dead. The problem, as LRH stated, was that once people are free, they demand more and more freedom. Anyone standing in the way of that freedom becomes fair game to the people who are demanding the freedom. The information I am writing here and elsewhere in this book has very fundamental implications which not only reach beyond the words of this page but projects itself into a region of the consciousness that will not be denied. That is your future. It is your power. How Noble Drew Ali fits into this equation at first glance might not be as exotic as what I have just said. As the story develops, however, it might be viewed as more exotic. In the end, however, they are both part and parcel of the same principle, declaring your lost heritage as a free and infinite being. The fact that you have been able to read what I have just written is not only by the thinnest of threads, most of which you have already read about in this book. Just as Noble Drew Ali tried to lift the veil of deception from the Moors and their heritage, so did LRH try to lift the veil of deception from spiritual beings and their true nature. It is therefore not really ironic that by giving a proper and respectful funeral service for LRH, I literally gated the Moor Science Temple into my life. To remind you, when LRH wrote his work on oppression, he stated that the only place left in the world with even a vestigial element of freedom was the United States. This can now be attributed directly to the Moors. None of this would be known if it were not for Drew Ali and the dynamic movement he created, which began to flourish and reach critical mass in 1929. The recognition and uncovering of oppression of the Moors is part and parcel of delivering the best promises of what Scientology in its most exalted aspects had to offer. Learning and understanding Hubbard's information on suppression and oppression, coupled with his unique viewpoints and other applications, enabled me to perceive and penetrate the unique mysteries of Montauk Point. The growth resulted from these experiences led me to write Synchronicity and the Seventh Seal, which ultimately explains the greatest mystery underlying Western esotericism and the secret formula upon which Christianity was based before being badly distorted. This is the real Da Vinci Code, which gave rise to the Italian Renaissance and which was secretly influenced by the Moors. At the current time, the door to Moorish mysteries is opening far and wide. The age of Pisces is at an end, and the Moors are coming to receive their inheritance. Drew Ali instigated this process when he returned to America and released a publication known as the Circle 7 Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple. While Drew Ali did not deliver a concise formula, as was clearly delineated in Synchronicity and the Seventh Seal, he represented the energy and was the energy of such. Drew Ali was very much part of the mythos and reality that enabled me to write this book. What Drew Ali wrote was geared towards a format that would be accepted by his people in that particular time. It apparently worked quite well. When the Moorish science reached its peak in 1929, it was on the heels of one of the greatest but most dangerous discoveries Drew Ali ever made. In 1928, Ali attended a Pan-American conference in Havana, Cuba, where he enjoyed broad recognition from a host of other countries. There were, of course, recognizing his sovereign status as a Moorish national who was representing the ancient empire of Amexem. Keep in mind that other countries had no reason to fear Drew Ali or what he represented. It was at this conference, however, that he received a document which was to change the face of Moorish science forever and would eventually lead to what is known as the Great Schism. That is the name of the Moorish community. That is the name the Moorish community uses to refer to the dispersal of Moorish science into different groups.
In 1929, where was it? Cuban what?
Havana, Cuba, 1928.
How do you spell it? Amexem.
A-M-E-X-E-M.
So you're saying in Havana, Cuba, 1928.
Yeah, there was a Pan-American conference.
Pan-American, which they don't talk about, right?
Which, you know,
it's pretty much been sealed off.
Right.
And you're saying at that point he received.
At that point he received, they say it's a mandate.
A mandate. That what?
And the mandate basically explained that the lease that the U.S. government had on the land in order to do whatever they were doing here is up. And because he's the true sovereign, he was the one that was given the mandate.
Was he still been playing his right?
Right? Because he claimed
he died that year.
He died in 29. He died a year after.
The year after.
Yeah. And then after that, they started bringing in the whole, you know, the straw man argument and HJR 192 dissolved the gold standard, get the gold laws.
They then fractured everything.
Right.
At that point, they broke everything up.
Right.
Is
Pretty much.
that related to the kind of the schism that happened in Europe with the church and the Renaissance and stuff? Would you say it's along the same lines?
To a degree, because ultimately, even with the Renaissance, with Spanish Inquisition, you know, Civil War, American War, whatever, all of them are based in the Treaty of Verona.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole trying to get all the republics on the planet to submit through religion into the democracy. You know what I mean? And then move forward from there. That's with the whole 500-year plan and you know what I mean? Right? So going back, the document Drew Ali received was a copy of a mandate whereby the Amexem Empire extended a land grant to the entire Western Hemisphere to certain Europeans. I have not yet seen the document, and its exact contents are highly mysterious. Yet its ramifications literally turned the United States of America upside down. Essentially, it leased America to a certain party for a particular number of years, not unlike the way China leased Hong Kong to Great Britain. The lease was up in 2004. It is entirely reasonable to believe that such a document, if it still exists, can be brought to light, is a mere relic of a long-forgotten era that has no significant meaning in today's legal system. That would be fine except for one very important point. If you have truly studied the detailed legal history of the United States of America, you would understand that there is more than a little truth to the prospect of there being such a document. Why? The entire legal history of the United States is predicated on such a proposition. What is known is that Secretary of State Hughes from the U.S. government attended the Pan American Conference and was made privy of this mandate. So were several other heads of state. As a result, a closed-door conference between several nations was held in Geneva, Switzerland, and a labyrinth of series of discussions and negotiations began. The Geneva conferences went on for some 5 years, but the records...
What year was this again?
The Geneva
1930.
1930?
Around that.
Yeah, around those times.
Had a Geneva conference?
Yeah, in Switzerland.
Okay.
Right. The Geneva conferences went on for some 5 years, but in the records are still kept sealed to this very day. It is known that several international banks called in their loans as a result of this potential legal threat, and the stock market crashed in 1929. So it wasn't even 1930 that they had the meeting. It's probably between 1928 and 29. Several countries, which included the United States, Portugal, France, and Spain, declared bankruptcy in order that relevant powers could buffer themselves from any potential legal claims. Right?
Say that one more time. The last part there.
Several countries, which included the United States, Portugal, France, and Spain, those are all the same nations that are involved in the Treaty of Tordesillas, right? Separating the Americas into, or the Moorish Empire into French and Spanish jurisdictions, red and blue flags and stuff like that, right? So they declared bankruptcy in order that relevant powers could buffer themselves from any potential legal claims. So if you're bankrupt, you can't, nobody can sue you if you file bankruptcy.
Chapter 11.
Chapter, right.
You can't take your
Right.
stuff either.
And they can't take your stuff.
So if you have a claim to the land, and you were trying to defend that claim, you declare bankruptcy is a fall down any type of movement against it. You know?
Right. In the case of the United States of America, it was reorganized with a new corporate legal status. Franklin Roosevelt was part and parcel of the entire plan when he abolished the gold standard and created the New Deal. Federal Reserve notes were then issued in place of gold-backed currency. The Great Seal of the Moors was used on the back of the notes. People behind the Geneva conferences were so concerned about any potential boomerangs from the Moorish issue that they began a full-barreled character assassination of Moorish heritage. Two most flagrant examples of this was when two master masons put together the infamous Amos and Andy show, and it became the first nationally syndicated radio show in history. It was deliberately designed to spoof the Moorish Science Temple by lampooning them as the mystic order of the Knights of the Sea, and callously referred to them as sardines. From one perspective, this can be viewed as hysterically funny, especially when you consider that the dignitaries were given titles such as the swordfish, the mackerel, and the kingfish. On the other hand, it was a deliberate and malicious act of intent designed to portray any Moor as the most laughable example of what could be termed the lowest common denominator. Not long after Amos and Andy had its national debut, Drew Ali was arrested and mysteriously died. This has been ignored by both history and conspiracy books. When you see how integrally connected the Moors are to the history of the world, let alone the United States, you see that they are a guidepost to the true history of the planet. This is the lamp of illumination, the hermit's lamp from the tarot, that the secret societies have long paid tribute to in their writings. By reason of our social conditioning, it seems utterly preposterous that the old Moorish Empire could have an actual court of law legal claim on this country. Conversely, it appears that world leaders have been deathly afraid of such and have prepared themselves to legally avoid the inevitable. Once again, the Moors show themselves to be hardwired into the infrastructure of our consciousness as well as the historical paper trail.
Who arrested him? Was it feds, local police, what? And what was he arrested for? What was their official?
That was the whole thing with the murder, right?
Statement?
Yeah. So let's.
What was their 911, 9/11 false flag?
Their false flag was basically a murder charge.
What, with the treasurer, right, or something like that?
Well, they said he murdered the
they said that he murdered
the U.S.
No, that he murdered his treasurer of the Moorish Science Temple, but he wasn't even in town.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to jail.
And what they say was the motive behind that? To cover up some
conspiracy, money, and you know, it always comes back to
when
money.
He was released into the hands of the people who killed him.
And those were who?
Those were Moors.
30 Moors.
Yeah.
It's like the one with the people who killed Malcolm X.
Like the exact same situation.
Always infiltrated and
exact same situation. Right?
Jellyfish frying people.
So they're right now that was only able to happen because of the infiltration.
Mm-hmm.
Right? From probably 1913. Like from early.
Every time there's a movement there.
Yeah, like from early they infiltrated. Right? So once they were able to infiltrate, right? Now they had access to the information if they had to change literature, you know, which they did. You know what I mean?
Thing like after the Watts riots when the black movement started in the States.
Right.
Every single one of them was infiltrated. Every single black leader got shot or locked up or exiled. Every single one.
Right.
There's actually an interview on YouTube I was watching with this one brother who was the actual CIA operative.
Yeah.
That burned down the clubhouse and Watts and everything. He was talking about how he was actually one of the people that built it with the community.
Yeah.
He was undercover them times. And he was so respected in the community because of all the stuff he did with them.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how he burned it down for CIA and how much it hurt him, but he still did it.
But he did it still.
You know what I mean?
You know?
Just for some money.
And then they wanna come around after and get props and get honors and respect and all that.
He's
We
trying
don't
to
play those ones.
He's trying to make up for by exposing everything.
We don't play those ones.
But it's too late. You know?
We definitely can't play those ones because, like, that's the reason why we're where we're at, because everybody lets the sellout come back around after. The guy sells out, and then everybody wants to come back around, honor him and whatever. When the guy's a sellout, we're gonna honor sellouts now, right? And as far as Noble Jawali's concerned, with the Great Schism,
mm-hmm.
right, or the Great Sellout,
mm-hmm.
you're talking about anybody who doesn't say that they're more the sellout.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that state, like if Peter Moon could do his own research and write a book filed in the Library of Congress talking about he went and he got the mandate and all that, that's in the Library of Congress.
So let me ask you this: in this Library of Congress, people can just go in. It's like the same thing as like any library.
Like any library.
Certain parts of it,
you know what I mean? Yeah, like you know, there's exclusive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Membership only. You know what I'm saying? But majority of the things in there is, you know, you got
sort of
Freedom
like
of Information Act.
Like the reference library down here.
Yeah, right.
Go down.
Go in there and make photocopies all you want.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything's in there, right? So we are giving out this reading called Divine Warning by the Prophet for the Nations. And the reason why we read Peter Moon was just to show that even the Europeans are putting out information about the Prophet and filing it in the Library of Congress. And the Library of Congress isn't denying it, because they're going to have to verify this stuff before they...
Well, no, because you can be charged with
right?
with fraud or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
Libel or slander,
you know what I mean?
right? But,
right.
So, I see these two chapters here that he's written. What are they in conjunction with the book and how it sort of plays out? Because you sort of pick two parts. And I just wanted to understand. Or do you know?
Let's just say that in order for the information of the Moors to get out, the ancestors selected certain individuals to do that.
Okay.
Right? This is why you know, like anybody just gonna see this if you don't have the third eye open.
I see.
Right?
Right.
You're gonna see the Book of the Dead, Peter Moon, whatever.
Right.
When you know he's pointing to the 5-point star, the Green Reaper is pointing to the 5-point star, and the 5-point star only represents one thing.
Right. So essentially, those are the answers to bringing back out the information.
That's to come back out. Because
So
just like he said, it's the age. The Piscean age is over.
And he said that the European would be the one to he'd have them around long enough to
tell the truth and teach us how to run government.
Okay.
Right. So the divine warning by the prophet for the nations applies to nations. This is not just for Moors only, and that's another one of the sellout dirty Moor tactics, is to make people feel that this is Moors, like Noble Drew Ali came from Moors, and that's all he came for.
Black nationalism.
He didn't come from the Moors.
It ties in the
right?
black nationalism.
Yeah, right. You know, but remember, if Noble Drew Ali said, don't burden my Moors, and you go to the temple and you're, you know, hunched over from burden, like,
yeah, be no good.
You better get on that temple, because Drew Ali laid it down to you that Moors aren't supposed to burden other Moors with stuff, right? It's just not supposed to happen. You know, Drew Ali laid it down. This is a divine and national movement. If somebody's only teaching divine, not teaching national, turn the other direction. If somebody's only teaching national, not teaching the divine, turn the other direction. Because we can't continue to play around with this. People want to play around. Like Noble Drew Ali didn't know what he was bringing when he brought it, right? And again, like the theme is we honor all divine prophets: Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, Jesus, and Ali. Like he's telling us.
Universal.
Like he's telling us. The concept is holistic. It's not attach, detach, whatever. This is, go back to the state of mind of ancient foremothers and forefathers. Learn the truth about your nationality and your birthrights. Right? Why learn the truth about your nationality and birthrights? Because man will regain his lost estate and his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. He must suffer trials and temptations manifold, but let him know that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and spirit of the mighty Allah, who rule the solar stars, are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. They will lead to victory. Right. So dirty Moors do whatever they want to do. You know, do your thing. I don't hate on you, because everybody has a position to play. Right? Everybody has their role. You know, the bum that's been a bum since we were going to high school, still eating out the garbage right now. How much people die of heart attacks, car accident, whatever, and this bum eating out the garbage doesn't even have mortgage, rent, nothing. He's still alive today.
He probably has less stress than that.
You know what I mean? Still a bum.
He's probably enjoying his life more than most people other drive Benz like this.
Right? Yeah. So man will regain his lost estate. You know, but it would be in a conflict that can't be told in words. And man will be fully saved, redeemed, perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well, and it will fall, and it will be no more.
If I can touch on that understanding where you come from and stuff like that. See, I'm Muslim, and I'm to learn everything I can, but in Islam we have a tradition with the Prophet Muhammad, to know Allah, because first of all, our religion say that Allah created every man to know Him, basically to worship Him, to know Him. And the Prophet Muhammad, he said, to know Allah, you must know yourself.
Right.
You understand?
Exactly.
If you want to know Allah, first know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're stripped from your identity, now how the hell are you going to learn know yourself?
Right.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to set everything in order before you can then proceed. If you're
Right.
raised on something like 1 + 1 = 3,
Yeah.
and you're trying to get into complex mathematics where you want to build a bridge and thing, and you're dealing with 1 + 1 = 3, only but people are going to dead when they go on your bridge.
Yeah.
You understand? So before you can get to the bigger things, you have to deal with the simple things. And the
Exactly.
first most simple thing about you is you.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
You know, and all that ties back to what he said. You're not Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian. Come and link yourself back with the families of nations so you can regain your lost estate. The only way you're going to do that is by proclaiming that nationality, and then be whatever it is that you want. Just like the Sri Lankans when they shut down the gardener. You think it was only Muslims out there, or only Christians, or it was only Sri Lankans out there? But if you go ask all of them, what are you? Everybody has a different denomination.
Yeah.
But with a national mindset, you cast aside all those stuff, which is only your personal business, because religion has nothing to do with anybody. You have no right to force nothing on anybody. Everybody has their own choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, come back to the same thing. Whether they're looking at it from an exoteric perspective, esoteric perspective, whether all that's irrelevant. What it really comes down to is, what's those people's national standard? What's their protocol when it comes to, you know, being violated by somebody else? Are they gonna go march, picket, and stuff like that? You know, they'll do that if it's beneficial to their nation. They're not doing that on some individualism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, we want, you know, Rogers keeps sending us text messages
Mm-hmm.
about whatever. Black History Month is bullshit.
Right.
We want to protest that, so we're gonna go march in front of the Rogers building, you know, for them to stop sending us these text messages. Like, that's not how nations do stuff. They don't play those little stupid games about go march, picket, get beat up by police and stuff like that. How come no police officers touch none of those Sri Lankans? They shut down the gardener. Like rush hour. Rush hour? Let some Negro black colors go out there and try to shut down the gardener rush hour. Talk about, oh yeah, we're marching for some rights or something. See what happens to all those people. Watch what happened at G20. What happened to all those people? Right? And none of those people there were actually real legit police officers with the force. Like, I know people that applied for the job to be police at G20.
Really?
Yeah.
I was security right down there, man. I was there for work.
Like,
mad police undercover
you know,
in the rioters side. We could see the police boots and everything. They leave our police car in the middle of nowhere to cause to beat people, to, you know, stir up
like,
the nonsense.
madness. You know, but all that is part of what Noble Dwali says is going to happen if Moors don't get their stuff together. And remember, everybody jumped on the program. Even the UN came out and put out declarations and said, you know what? Everybody has a right to a nationality. Nobody can be deprived of their nationality. From you're a child, if you're indigenous, if you're European, whatever, everybody has a right to a nationality. That same thing Noble Dwali said. UN's coming now and saying that. 50, 60 years later, UN now is coming and saying, yeah, you know, 100 years later now, Barack comes now, signs onto it. After Bush and them didn't sign anything, right? Barack comes now. Why Barack go sign indigenous people's rights and stuff like that? Say that he backs that stuff. Because he knows. He knows what's up.
Oh, they're now trying to backpedal and cover their butts. Right?
Yeah. Right? Because systems falling.
Yeah.
You know, the little twigs holding up the system, they're not holding the system up too much longer. And all those people, even Barack, he could go back to Kenya if he wants, go to Hawaii. If it really kicks off, he could go back to where he came from. He doesn't have to be here when that kicks off. Even he has somewhere to escape to from a national perspective.
All right.
You think he's not gonna jump ship when this thing kicks off? You see all those grays that he had when he had inauguration?
What grade? What?
Like,
yeah. He looked aged a couple of
see those
times.
grays? 4 years?
Yeah.
They got grays like that in 4 years?
yeah. They put him through something.
You must be getting put through something.
That one,
Bro.
enough strings.
You must be getting put through
Look, I was
something.
watching this. Look,
You know?
he's using a what do you call it?
Yeah,
A thing, a star,
right.
the moon. But look at where there's another star. There's mouth.
No, for real. I didn't catch
You know what I
that.
mean? That's why they said to you in the beginning of that,
Yeah.
if you wanted the picture, because I think
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah,
symbology.
there's definitely symbology in the
because you
picture.
notice
Yeah.
he's using
yeah.
the wand,
Right,
right? The wand, which to me symbolizes sort
Right.
of the magic,
yeah,
the star. But look at what it's underneath, the moon.
right.
His name is Peter Moon.
Yeah, Peter
And
Moon.
isn't the moon part of
Yeah,
the whole symbology
Right, right,
behind all
right.
of the stuff that we're doing, right?
yeah, straight up. Straight up.
And then why is there a star on his tooth?
Yeah,
Right?
right.
That to me represents something with his.
Speaking the
With
light,
his
man.
Yeah,
speaking.
Because the moon is a guardian of what's covered, right?
That's
right.
You know what I mean? It's there.
Yeah,
But isn't it interesting? As I said, look, you didn't have to have.
Can't see that one?
You didn't have to have him having the wand at
yeah.
all. He
Oh,
could have been.
hold on, let me just put this up quick fast, just so. Right. So, and also too, we're talking about the the revealing.
angle down move, because sometimes the
Oh,
light
it's
goes
blurring,
back
yeah.
and you can't see it. No, down, and that's what
Yeah, right. And also too, that only one eye. The Grim Reaper is only showing one eye,
Which is what the third eye.
which is the you know, because if you're talking about one eye, we're talking about
It's
you know,
crazy.
the third
But that's
eye.
what you notice, because you know what's interesting? When you
Yeah.
read out the thing, if you want this
The
picture,
picture, yeah.
you can send away from
Right,
it.
right.
So to me,
There's something more to it for sure.
So
I mean,
this
who
book
knows?
is-
That could be
so this book is
a big panoramic picture, and that's just
that's right.
a slot of it.
This
You know
book
what I
is about revealing the truth of past civilization
Pa-
and,
yeah.
like, you know, like getting back to the
mean?
true
related,
history,
yeah,
right?
related to that, related
Well,
to
that's
modern stuff also.
Well, that's what I was
That's
looking
where
at.
the ruins come in, right?
Yeah.
Because it represents former glory, former
right.
nation.
That's
you know what I mean?
Right, and then also too, that's in a circle, and then the backdrop of that is clouds and you know
and a storm.
storm coming. You know, yeah, interesting. Right, but this is what you know the whole Moorish paradigm is about, that using the faculties that were given to you. You know what I mean? But majority of places where we go, they don't allow that. You have to listen to that guy that's up front,
Right.
right? You don't you shut your mouth, don't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the book.
That's right.
Read the book. We're gonna read from this part today. You can't just we're gonna tell you how to read it.
Yeah.
You know, no flipping through, find your own stuff and read. Like you have to go through it, the program, right?
Yeah.
You know, and what we're trying to do is break the programming, get people to start thinking. Because what Drew Ali say, if I get you to think, you'll save yourself. You don't have to worry about anything if you just think for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So we're just gonna read the divine warning by the prophet for the nation. So this applies to everybody, right? The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subjects to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. So right there he's telling you, it's a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government. So it's a sin to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sin to cling to names and principles that delude to slavery. And the names and principles that delude to slavery are Negro, Black, Colored, African, whatever. Because none of those people called that are that. If you ask African, what are you? They're going to say, I'm Ghanaian, Eritrean, whatever. They're not going to say, I'm African. They're not going to say, I'm Black, African. I'm whatever. They're talking about the geographical landmass that they come from. Right? I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law-abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. So all nationals are free. Once you're national, you're free. Once you're national, you can go wherever you have to go on the planet because you're national. Why we have problems? Because we're not national. We're Negro, black, colored, and we want to go other places as those slave labels. Not recognizing that those labels aren't accepted in other countries. Because it's undesirable. That's an undesirable position. Why do you think Dalits are how they're treated in India? Because they call themselves Dalits when they're Moors. It's a documented fact that Indians, Pakistanis, and Sri Lankans are collectively known as Moors in that history. Like that's what their history says. We're known as Moors collectively. Individually, we're Indian, Sri Lankan, Pakistani, Ceylonese, whatever. But as a collective, we're known as Moors.
Now, would it be correct to say that by assuming that slave name, you're therefore consenting to being a part of the corporation that has now served the land?
Right.
And once you declare your free name, you therefore drop that consent and therefore have a legal buyout from that corporation. They can't mess with you because you're registered under that slave name.
Right. Exactly.
Now, would you necessarily have to go and deregister that slave name, or
no? Because
strategic to maintain that because you need to get by in society.
Well, it's beneficial to because of the usurpatory forces that are occupying.
And have now
given you this, but to
threat, duress, and coercion.
Threat, duress, and coercion.
So then, would you, in essence, it would be having dual citizenship?
Well, not really, because what they gave us isn't a citizenship.
Exactly, but in their eyes, what they perceive it, the general public perceive it.
Right. That's what it would. Right. Yeah. That's what it would be considered. Yeah.
And once you do that, is that recognized by the corporation that in certain cases they can't touch you?
Well, right now there's a brother right now on charges that they can't adjudicate. They can only adjourn because he's claimed his position to them.
Now, do they have to go through the type of process or paperwork?
Like not even like
just the fact that he asserts himself as a Moor. My name is Saul. Right. My name is Saul.
Right.
See.
But that's a frame of mind.
Mm-hmm. Like for instance, we grew up, me as Richard.
Yeah.
Nobody know me as Richard again.
Right.
Rashid this.
Right. Exactly. But that's the national perspective.
So
our thing is that people have convinced us that when you do that, name change or whatever, right, that it can't be done without going to them to do it.
Everybody tell me that too, I keep telling me go over and say, why?
Why?
Me is who me is.
Right.
And when I was born, we came out with an umbilical cord. I didn't come out with paperwork.
Right.
You understand?
And that's where we're trying to stray the Moors from going. Mm-hmm. The whole idea of, well, you have to get this paper or this card or no, you have to go back to the state of mind of your ancient foremothers and forefathers and do a nationalization. Because naturalization
you're right.
could only happen from a foreigner. Mm-hmm. Only a foreigner could naturalize, but that's de facto protocol. Mm-hmm. The real power is the national naturalizing the foreigner.
So what this brother you're talking about, this is on the Canadian jurisdiction?
This is worldwide jurisdiction.
No, I mean the brother that's locked.
Oh yeah, the
Ontario jurisdiction.
Yeah, Ontario. Yeah.
And so how did he get them into this predicament? Did he just stand up on the stand and say,
yeah, like literally. Yeah. Like literally.
And whoever you're talking about there, that's being held for this.
Not it's not even going into that. Mm-hmm. It's I'm who I am, now you tell me who you are. Before we do anything.
Because I don't recognize
you because you don't look like me.
Your validity as a judge. So, I don't recognize your authority here.
And if you claim that you are that,
prove it. Bring the paperwork. Or if you bring the paperwork, you can prove that you're on a served land. All right, corporation, don't talk.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. And then you already know that
you have to know yourself first. You see?
That's the key.
Because you can't.
That's the key. Right?
And this is the thing. Most people are here walking zombies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Walking zombies. You try to talk some sense to them and they look at you like you're inside out.
But the thing with even the walking zombies are Moors.
They don't know.
They just don't know. They think that they're something that they're not. So once we, it's like when you like when you said with, as soon as somebody comes, yo, Richard, what? Oh no, don't call me. Oh, so automatically in their mind they're going to. Oh, so did you go to the government to go change your name there? Mm-hmm. That's automatically where they go. Mm-hmm. That's training. Level. Yeah, that's training. Frequency. If they're gonna go there automatically. To the grandpa. Yeah, they're not gonna think like if you say. They're not going to think my name changed. Destiny. Right. They have to go to someone else they have to control their destiny. They're not going to have Muhammad Ali in their mind. Yeah, because freedom is right. Something that you must claim yourself. They're not going to have to freedom because then you're dependent on a person and you're not free again. They're not going to put Yasin Bey in their mind. Right? They're not going to put El Haj Malik El Shabazz in their mind. When somebody comes to them with a different name that their names change from when they knew them before. Even though they must skin out X clothes and right. This and so what? It's a target or what? Well, you know right. What that is. You know what I mean? So yeah, once you make that proclamation, it makes those foreign occupiers it's harder for them to now come at you because they can't come at you unless you're using the name that they branded you with. And does this brother also in any official document does he also use what name? Like if he's filling out tax form. What he has is one like this. And then that's just ID that Moors have. You guys do this up? Yeah, like that's just because of our authority. Yeah, man. Because this is our land. It's your nationality right here. Yeah. So that's of course the Moroccan flag. Don't know that right. Already. So it's so we have to talk about so that. It's standard, right? But this standard everywhere, and this standard anywhere and everywhere. And it's like I can anywhere you go. Print up my own ID card, and you could write. You could take this paper right here, write such and such, and done. Cut it out in a square, put your name on it, laminate it, or go to the print store, get a hard card. Once the nationality is on there, Morocco is on there. Once the nationality is on there, what are they gonna say? Exactly. Because more than likely, that person that's coming at you is a foreigner, and they don't have jurisdiction unless. They show you the qualifications that makes them who they say that they are.
Well, and then there's a further step to that they actually would need to have delegated power to even have any power
in the first place.
In the first place.
But we have to remember that with every time you step over truth, there's gonna be trouble. So if you get stopped by police, you know what I mean, and you show them that and they say we don't recognize it, they can hold you. Well, right? Legally they can, but. It goes both ways. They're known for not following the rules. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, okay, so you know what I mean? So for example, okay,
but but then you become a martyr for the cause, and you know what I mean, them type of thing.
Okay, so so in our jurisdiction, right? If it's OPP or Metro, who has more power?
Right here?
Yeah, like in our jurisdiction, right? Okay, so in the Metro jurisdiction, right? In the security guard jurisdiction, right? Those individuals that we call police, in their stuff, it says that they're peace officers. So their job is to uphold the peace. Like that's what their job is, right? If you go in there and you talk to the sergeant or whatever, sergeant will tell you that the common law is the umbrella that we use to exercise our powers on people. Right? Okay, well the common law comes from common people saying, well, we want you to be the security for us. And we all say that you're going to be it. That's where the idea of elected officials come from. Of the people. Right? So now you're going to go and do the job that the people say that you're supposed to do, which is uphold the peace. So if you're coming to me and asking me to fill out some 208 card because, I fit the description of then obviously you're not upholding the peace because, I was just walking to the store to go get some milk for my mom peacefully. And now you're trying to impose your corporate position on me without even knowing who I am. So immediately, go in my pocket, bam. They get the ID card and they look at you, check the picture, okay, go to the computer, nothing's not coming up under this because it's not in the jurisdiction. So they leave you alone. What are they gonna do? Especially if you haven't done anything. If you do something, then that's different, right?
And that's where you've been speaking to.
Right. That's where it comes. Don't do nothing.
But there's another side of this though. This comes into the what you call them, the people that are, subverters who are coming under cover and causing things. Because if the police then have knowledge of the movement and they're against it, then they'll target you, right? Try to make an example of it.
Right.
But this is where being a man, grown man and a grown woman is about. You know what I mean? Like I said before, anytime you step out on truth, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you gotta be a real man about it. If you get held up in jail, you gotta know so the brothers and sisters are gonna be spreading the word about what's going on, and then the movement gets even more exposure.
Okay,
right?
so check this now. So one of the brothers that did happen to, you got kidnapped, right? Showed his stuff. They're like, whatever, we don't even see this shit, whatever, bad, right? So they detained him. So he's there now in the cell chilling now, and the guy's on the phone, right? Peace officers on the phone talking to another jurisdiction, like outside of his jurisdiction, right? So he got detained in the West, and he was talking to somebody in the East, and he's telling the guy in the East that we got one of those too, right? Yeah, it says blah blah blah, and he's reading it on the phone to the guy.
Right? So they pick up our next man and stay in prison.
Right? So the man in the cell now, that's empowering now. Because if you guys talking about this, then you get, you know what I mean? Then the word's getting out that,
deal with us.
So he went back now, goes back in there now, they put him back into population, and he's just hitting up people, telling them when they go to court, say this, say this. Get a call, this man's at the court with the orange jumpsuit, and just him sitting in the courtroom.
No judgment. What
they brought him down to go have plea or trial or whatever.
Back trying to figure out what to do with it.
Right? They brought him down, had him sit there all day, brought him out, sat him on the bench, everybody went home. Left this guy on the bench. No handcuffs, no nothing, just left him on the bench. The lady from outside comes in now, tells him, what are you doing here?
Get out of the meeting.
What are you doing here? Why are you in here? Court's over, it's 4 o'clock, we want to go home. Like,
get out.
Get out.
I have to carry around the original summons.
Right.
Because the lady went and got the judge, and so the judge come and sign my summons, say, showed in court, no information. It's not saying that they lost my information.
Yeah.
So I was there, and they called everybody,
and
I'm still sitting here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was on bail, so I wasn't held in. But I was in the courtroom, and everybody's even like,
what's going on?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to leave because then they could say
they could do the bench. The bench.
You know what I mean?
That's probably what they were waiting for.
What's what they're waiting for.
Right.
That's right.
That's
because
the trick, right?
That's how they deal with stuff. They don't deal with stuff. They'll deal with it on an angle while they're looking at you. Right.
So if you get up and leave, all of a sudden.
Not all of a sudden they find your case. They call your name. Oh, you're not there. Bench warrant.
2 years later, you get put over for a ticket. You're going to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or they might just come get you.
Yeah.
Right. Use your family as overseers. Right. Because they know that when people proclaim their nationality, they're not going to their Negro, black, colored family telling them, oh yeah, I'm a Moor now, here's my nationality card, and like they're gonna be down with that. Those people are Christian property. They don't care. They don't care.
State programs.
They're state orphans. They can't even fathom in their mind what you talk. That's why when stuff was going on with us, everybody who I know, whether it's family, friend, whatever, when they seen us at Afrofest, next day it's like, yo, your son's a Mason? I didn't know he was a Mason. Secret comes out now everybody's a Mason in the family. People pulling out their rings and pulling out their, Uncle so-and-so used to be in the Mason. No, we don't know to do a Mason. What are you talking about? What do you mean? You wore that same hat like they have, and But that's where our people. That's why we said it's 100 years ago, right? Why are we still Negro, black, colored, and whatever else today? Because Great Schism that the European talked about. You don't even hear Moors talk about the Great Sell-Out.
And like you said about his universal, talking about the Europeans, and even white people living on his land are Moors we don't realize because they're in Morocco.
Right.
So they could claim their nationality as well, naturalized citizen or whatever, because they're foreign to the land, but they're born here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So therefore they're part of the demographic. They're just not aware of it.
Just to
it's not a color
verify. Just to verify what you're saying. Right? This is citizenship of the United States, expatriation, etc. Page 460. There is, however, numerous treaties and conventions between the various Christian countries and the Moorish Empire, by means of which citizenship in this country is defined. But as I understand from the above acknowledged instructions, that it is not the desire of the department to call for a report upon such lines. I will therefore confine these remarks to general conditions existing, which may possibly be of some use in connection with the information desired. 1. Citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenships or protections are considered ipso jure Moorish subjects.
So
right?
First they have to denounce.
They don't even have to denounce.
They have to prove that they're from somewhere else.
They have to prove that they're not Moors.
Exactly. And the only way they could do that was by showing their corporate identification card and standing on that.
And signing on that, which is fraud, because if they're a foreigner, why are they showing some corporate document when the whole world knows that Noble Drew Ali founded the first Islamic institution in the Americas as an embassy, consulate, regency, whatever, for the Moors to have a safe haven when they get attacked by these corporate juggernauts.
So that brother that went to court, that was the end result. He ended up being left in the courtroom.
That was another brother.
Okay, so
the one that's dealing with the situation, up to now they can't adjudicate.
So they just
all they do is he's free.
They just keep bringing him back.
They just keep bringing him back.
So he got bail. Initially, he got bail. So he wasn't held inside.
They put out. He's on house arrest or whatever, right? But the house arrest is under the name of
the wrong pretense. So he doesn't even bother.
So that's not really his house arrest.
And so then when he's not at house arrest and they find him in what they would consider breach,
then
again comes to the fact that you have no jurisdiction on it. So what are you gonna do?
Right.
Or we do the same thing again and never come out and walk laugh at you again.
And it's unfortunately for out here, that's what they're willing to do. Like they're willing to just so we'll just grab you again, go through the protocol, have you send papers.
No, part of what it is whatever, with this brother, though, you get scared, I guess, from being inside, so he does follow by.
Yeah, like you're gonna go, because
he is following by his
like,
breach.
I'd rather be jail. I'd rather be in jail outside than jail.
In there. But I mean, if everybody supported him, to the right extent,
right. Well, that's what we're trying to. That's now our next step, which is what we're trying to do. Is every time we go to court now, we're trying to bring people in with us.
Protocol,
right? Because most of the time he's going by himself. So now
everybody that's coming in is representing is claiming their nationality as well.
Right.
To say that. So what? You're gonna come arrest us too?
Exactly. That's the way.
We have something in numbers.
We were talking with one of the brothers about we were talking about passports. Moorish passport, right? And idea is, we get a Moorish passport, but 5 of us go to the border with Moorish passport, but we got 1 million people. Every guy that comes up showing Moorish passport, well, okay, we'll deny that guy. Next guy comes, Moorish passport. Well, we'll deny that guy. Next guy comes, Moorish. All they're seeing is Moorish. Somebody has to get through. They're not gonna stop 1 million people.
And then if there's issues, you call media and get media involved.
Yeah, numerous things we could do. You know what I mean? We call international community, get them involved. Because again, like certain Noble Drew Ali laid down certain things.
I just text from the man saying that he's got court tomorrow and he wants me to come to show up.
Right.
And another thing to do when it gets that big is you want to have representatives from every faith group. representing the movement.
Right.
Because then that drives everybody's attention to realize this is a universal thing here. This is a legal issue. It's not a religious issue. It's nothing like that. This is a legal issue.
Let's up the ante. This is a lawful issue.
That's what I mean, legal.
Because if we say legal, to them, you're talking corporate.
True.
Once you say legal.
Yeah,
that's why they deal with legal, and they always say that's what they always say. They never say lawful, unless they're talking about passing something for you to follow. Well, it's the law for you to follow.
Or it's lawful
this
for me to arrest
act. Yeah, you know what I mean. But when they start doing the legal thing, that's why we have to be the ones to put certain things out there. If we expect them to, they're gonna do certain stuff, but they're gonna mask it. It's like Hillary Clinton in the Ben Franklin room, the American flag sitting right there. This is in America. She's sitting there with American flag, United States flag. Side by side, just like Noble Drew Ali did it when he was running the temple. And because people don't recognize Noble Drew Ali, they don't recognize that Hillary's copying what the Prophet did. That's not like they're pretending to be the temple. That's why she has the Moroccan flag and the United States flag, just like we have at the temple, just like all these other Moors have at the temple. The Moroccan flag, and then the United States, Amity stripes and stars and.
So you tell me you have the American flag or Canadian flag? You have Canadian flag there.
Yeah, well, see, Canadian flag, that's corporate jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Like
but the U.S. flag is corporate, no?
Not
officially, right?
Officially corporate.
Because was before the corporation took over. That
right. And it had a different meaning.
See it.
Before the U.S. corporation, it had a different meaning. Now it has the meaning of that's the national flag, when that's not the national flag. Mm-hmm. The national flag is the Moroccan flag. Because it's Morocco where we're at right now.
The flag originally was a flag of a movement.
Right.
The standard.
Right. The standard. Yeah. Right. No different than all these other people that have, these flags for their organizations and say that they're flags.
The military, every division of its own flag.
Have their own flag. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a standard.
You see,
protocol that you have that.
I just realized something because one of the things that led me to Islam was looking at all the different prophets and their movement to free people.
Right.
Not just from chains, but free, 100% free. You look at Jesus.
Yeah.
He stood in the face of Roman occupation of Israelite land.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
As an Israelite.
What is his? That's right. Not about that stuff here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Use it. Whatever you recognize as his. And he is unlawfully here.
Because in the story, remember, he takes a coin from the fish's mouth.
Yeah.
It says when they ask him for taxes, right? Supposedly a fish comes up, right, which is Pisces in a sense, and he gives that coin, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yeah.
Right? That's.
And then you look at Musa in Egypt.
That's right.
Declaring the Israelites' nationhood in the face of Pharaoh.
Yeah.
You understand?
All
the prophets were all about freeing people in all realms, mind, body, and soul.
Right. But then when you ask the middleman between, because the prophet's the real middleman.
Yeah.
The middleman's not the guy at the pulpit. The prophet's the real middleman between you and, right? So, the middleman is trying to push it like, I'm, no different than Grand Sheiks do or whatever.
They've been doing the same thing with religion.
It's a pattern,
It's the same pattern. It's the same
pattern. When you go read the Treaty of Verona, they'll tell you that religion is used to enslave the people. They tell you that. But everybody wants to go join some religion or whatever. And then they're going to try to say that this is a religion when Noble Drew Ali said, this is the Divine National Movement. This is a civic organization that has a religious application to it, but this isn't religious.
So it could be applied to all, could be applied universally.
Universally.
Jew,
right, that's why we recognize all divine prophets. That's why during the time of the prophet there were Turks and Cubans and Mexicans and all these people, members of the temple. That's why when people say Noble Drew Ali during his time, his Mufti force was the National Guard. Because all those guys were members of the temple.
Right.
And they would just come to temple in their uniform.
Right.
And now you're sitting there thinking, hold on a second, as an outsider, you're like, you can't even fathom what's going on because you have this man who claims to be Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and then you have National Guard following him all over the place.
Yeah.
And nobody's saying, oh, well, you know, those National Guard guys are violating the law because they're supposed to be securing the United States of America when they're members of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using that good European education that they got
Mm-hmm.
and assisting the Prophet.
Right.
They're members, right? They're members of the temple, but they work for the government,
Of course.
right? But they're using whatever they get from the government, uniform, stars, you know what I mean, berets, guns, whatever, tanks. Like they were saying that Moors come with tanks.
Really?
Like that's how serious that it was. You know what I mean? There's literature what says that Moors used to come to the temple. They used to say that Noble Drew Ali has the army backing him. Don't mess with that guy. This is the perspective that people had of the Prophet back then.
Wow.
Right? And his own people, just like we're talking about, you look at, they're not even, oh, those guys, they're funny red hats, you know, you mess with those guys. I'm going to be, you know, right? Fraud. You know? Any,
So we should probably wrap.
yeah, we could worry about that wrap up time. So we'll continue next week on the divine warning, right? Because again, we're putting it out there right now. Forget all these joker smokers out there that call themselves Moors and call themselves Negro, black, colored, whatever. We're not entertaining no crap unless it's Noble Drew Ali, right? Noble Drew Ali is all we're pushing, and things affiliated to Noble Drew Ali. We're not delving into, you know, go read other people's literature to try to justify the Prophet. His stuff speaks for itself. And we just need to take some time to digest what he brought, because we haven't touched the surface of what Noble Drew Ali brought.
Good.
People don't even know that the name Prophet Noble Drew Ali is a corporation.
But
That's not his name.
no, Sheikh.
His name is Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, and he was born Timothy Drew.
He created that for the temple, right? Or for the corporate
Right.
entity.
For the corporate entity called. That's why he said, if you're gonna do any business, do it in the Moor Science Temple, or do it in Noble Drew Ali. Why would he say do it in his name if he's not here?
Right.
Like, how is somebody gonna let you use their name after they're dead? How are you gonna tell me, well, after I die, you know, go fill out credit cards with my name on it?
In the same way that he did, he used a corporate alias, basically.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Corporate alias.
All right. Okay.
So like my legal name is still what it used to be.
Right.
That's my corporate alias.
Their legal name.
Exactly.
That's not your name.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
then come back to the same consent
Yeah.
thing. That once you take possession,
Exactly.
this is mine. Now,
So, but that's part of the issue.
now
though,
the
that-
debt's yours.
Well, that's part of the issue that we have to be careful of in terms of separating ourselves from
Right,
that.
right.
You have to train your mind
Yeah,
to,
it's a
to
mental-
have the instinct to use your real name instead of the legal name. You know what I
A
mean?
mental
Repetition
thing.
and stuff,
A mental
you know?
thing, you know? So I'll say Islam to Brother Rashid for
Oh my God,
coming, because it's been about 15 years or
Enough,
something.
man.
It's been a while. It's been a while, you know what I mean?
No doubt.
Right? And can't forget the Moors Online Islam. Give thanks for being in attendance, and you know, don't forget to share the link. And also too, this weekend we might be streaming, but we're trying to get people to come to the temple, so we might stream late. But for Sunday, yeah,
Okay.
Sunday, February 3rd,
Was that the beginning?
we're
of
doing the
class?
nationalize or vaporize lecture,
Okay.
and that's Canaanland Moors presenting.
And you said that might be late.
And it's where we might be streaming it late because we want people to actually come to the temple for it, opposed to sit home and watch it. People out here,
I see.
you know,
Yeah.
you know, people who can't come for sure, stream. But you know, people who are in the city, it's Sunday, you know, Black History Month, you know what I mean? Yeah,
What time is it?
It's that time right now.
What time is that supposed to be?
That's 4 to 7. That's gonna be class time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so don't forget, so February 3rd, we got Canaanland Moors, then we got Denim L, then we got Nature LB, and then we got Asir.
That's
End of the
all
month.
on-
That's all February.
All February,
Beating up Black History Month.
Good.
So we're gonna close out with the prayer.
All right.
You could partake if you like. If not, hold your space and your peace. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protection.
Allah is my protection.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his and her holy prophet.
Through his and her holy prophet.
Noble Jew Ali.
Noble Jew Ali.
Islam.
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 Islam. With protection or
Peace
protector?
Moors. Protection, protector.
I think we had a couple.
Memory, yo, memory.
Don't see him